again, and welcome to another Mordy and Glory Warhammer 40k video. In today's episode, I want to talk about Burnout. You see, there's been some chit, and dare I say chat, around the internet water cooler about 40k Burnout. People just finding the pace of change to be too much. Maybe the state of the game is just not what they wanted. For whatever reason, there's been a lot of talk about people struggling to really just enjoy 40k these days. I'm feeling a little burned out about the whole thing. And so what I want to do is share with you some tips, some advice, some things that I've just learnt to help deal with hobby burnout. And so let's not mess around. Let's fix bayonets and charge right into today's episode. You there! Have you bought yourself a copy of Sharp's Command yet? Damn you, I say. Or use the affiliate link down below in the description to buy yourself a copy of the latest book in the best-selling series by Bernard Cornwell.
The fault was not mine, sir. Major Lennox must answer.
Major Lennox answer with his life! You disgraced us, sir! You shamed us, sir!
Sharp's Command is jam-packed full of action from start to finish. So what are you waiting for? Click on the affiliate link below and buy yourself a copy today. Support the channel and your king and country.
Yes, sir.
I want to start off this video by sharing my own experience with hobby burnout and how it came about. Roughly a couple of years ago, I decided to go full-time on YouTube, and as a result, talking about Warhammer 40k, playing Warhammer 40k, it became my full-time job. I was immersed above my head in this amazing universe and this awesome game that is Warhammer. But in addition, I also focus on a lot of competitive play, on going to tournaments and really keeping up with the meta and the changes. And so, combining this tournament play with the fact that I was just constantly thinking and talking about 40k, and combined with the stress of this now being my main gig, there was definitely a lot of stress and definitely a bit of burnout after the first few months of doing YouTube and 40k full time. And the result of this burnout is gonna sound eminently familiar to those of you who are going through a similar thing. On the hobby side of things, weeks would go by without me picking up a paintbrush or building models. When I did end up building and painting models, I found it really fun and enjoyable, but it was that difficulty to motivate myself to actually start the process. And when actually playing the game of 40k, the moment that anything went wrong, even if I ended up winning the game later or overall the game was very enjoyable, but in the heat of the moment when something went wrong, I would get quite frustrated and I'd focus on that. And what's really crazy about all this is I was fundamentally actually still quite enjoying 40k. I just was focused on the negativity, and that was creating this sort of feedback loop of demotivation. Because like I said, when I actually got to building and painting, when I actually got to sit down and motivate myself, I'd do my classic Stargate and paint, I'd put my favorite episodes of SG1 or Atlantis on, and I'd start painting away. I could sit there for hours and just paint everything and come away from the end of the day and be like, look, I've got loads of done, I've achieved something. And when I would enjoy putting my army list together, that would be a fun part of the game for me. I was happy building my own sort of broken combos and everything. That didn't bother me. And when I was playing the game, if I came away with like a win, I would feel really good about it. It's just that those moments of enjoyment, those positive moments, I was almost forgetting about them, and I was just overly focused on the negative stuff. And that's when I realized I was becoming a bit burned out. And so by reflecting and recognizing this, I then did essentially 3 things to avoid the burnout going too far, to reset the clock and to reset my enjoyment of the game and of the whole 40k universe. The first thing that I did is I forced myself to step away from those negative spaces. There are so many forums, YouTube channels, areas online that you can go to which are really, really negative, especially about 40k. And it seems like there's just post after post or video after video about the game being broken, about this thing not being right. It can really really get you down. And what's crazy is when you are feeling frustrated, you kind of seek out these negative things. I don't know the human psychology behind it. Smarter people than I will be able to explain it, but it's like I wanted to find the negativity to sort of validate my own position or to scratch some weird dopamine itch or something. I don't know what it was, but I realized that I was going to negative places and I was essentially getting whipped up into a frenzy along with everyone else in these places, and it wasn't doing me any favors. And so what I did is I just forced myself to step away from those communities and step away from those places and instead focus on the positive. And I'd go to places where things were a bit more positive online. It's why I've always tried to keep this channel with a positive spin. Occasionally we let our frustrations out, but 90% of the time we try and keep things positive because I recognize for myself that was a really important thing that I needed and that other people might need. And on top of this, I started focusing on what was actually impacting me in real life. So I would read about some broken combo online. I'd get really annoyed about it. But what I realized is I never encountered this broken combo myself. I was going to loads of tournaments, I was playing loads of competitive games, and I just wasn't really encountering this stuff. And if I did encounter it, it was maybe like one game in every 20 or 30 competitive games that I was playing. And I realized that I was getting annoyed by something that wasn't even happening to me. And when I actually looked back on all those games that I was playing, I was loving it. I had Strachan taking down Hive Tyrants in single combat. I have to say, side note, falling in love with Strachan and his combat capabilities is one of the things that really helped me focus on the positive aspects of the game. And it's one of the reasons why I include him in pretty much every list, because just having a badass model running around and being able to send him into crazy situations and sometimes having him come out the other side and get into epic challenges, it made me focus on those positive moments. And so that's why I have that love affair with Strachan. But looking at it in the big picture, I would just make sure that I was remembering what was the epic moment in that game. What was the fun moment? And if I got absolutely smashed in a game, was there something I could learn from that? Or do I have another classic Imperial Guard tale where we held the line to the last man and we would not fall, and if I did lose a game, and if I did get absolutely smashed, I would, rather than get frustrated about it, I would go, okay, what can I learn from this? Why did I lose? Did I make any mistakes? Was there an issue with my list? Was my opponent's list better? Was my opponent just a better player than me? And if I did get absolutely smashed and there wasn't much I could do about it, because 40k, it's not the most balanced game in the world, could I just add that to the saga of my regiment? That one of those times when they were massacred to a man trying to hold the line in the name of the Emperor. And it might sound kind of obvious, but by forcing myself to make that conscious decision to focus on the positivity, not the negativity, I found my enjoyment of 40k naturally begin to rejuvenate and regenerate. But on top of forcing myself to change my attitude, I also engaged in a bit of palate cleansing. What I mean by this is I went and played some other games. There's a reason why I cover Bolt Action and the Old World on this channel. They are my #1 palate cleansers, and they are really, really good games for 40k players to take a short break with. They are similar enough where you can pick the rules up very, very easily. But they are very distinct and very different enough at the same time where it feels like you're playing something totally different. As a result, you get to scratch that wargaming itch whilst also cleansing your palate. And you'd be amazed at the difference it makes. I will go 3-4 months in a row hardcore playing 40k, tournaments every weekend, battle reports every week, playing between 6 and 10 games of 40k a week, and then I'll just go and play bot action for a weekend, call a couple of bot action battle reports, go and play a couple of bot action games with my mates, just one weekend. And it completely undoes that hobby burnout. It completely cleanses my palate, and I'll come away from a week or two of just playing 3 or 4 bot action games, or even just one, or 2 bot action games over the course of a couple of weeks, and that's it. I am ready to get back into 40k again because I've cleansed my palette, I've done something a little bit different, I've broken my focus on 40k just for a moment, and then by breaking that focus, it allows me to refocus and go back in there, fresh eyes, fresh attitude, fresh approach. But all of this also applies to the hobby side of things. If you're getting a bit burned out with painting 40k models and all the detail and all the skulls and the Aquillas and all that kind of stuff, going and just building other models, going and trying out some other kits is such a good palette cleanser. There was a time a few months ago when I was getting really annoyed with the new Imperial Guard models. I was like, I am not going to build any more field ordnance batteries. I built one and they were terrible. I'm never going to do it again. I'm going to print everything else. Rah, rah, rah. And I just didn't touch a 40k plastic kit for a bit. And instead, I built some more action tanks, I built and painted some old world, I got into 3D printing, and now I've come back to some 40k kits that I had in my pile of shame, and it's like, oh, I built my second field orders battery, and actually, I really enjoyed it. I wasn't quite as frustrated from trying to find the bits on the sprue, because I just gone away for a moment. I tried something else out. I'd cleansed my hobby palette. I'd painted some different models. I'd built some different kits. And then when I go back to the 40k sprues, because I've just not been building frustrating sprue after frustrating sprue, it means that when I get to build these models, it's actually fun. And so by doing these 3 things, avoiding negative spaces, building new models, playing different games, I've been able to avoid hobby burnout for the last 2 years. And this is an ongoing thing that I do. If I find I've been hitting the 40k hard for a little while and I start noticing that I'm getting annoyed with like negative chatter online, I'll take a break from that. Maybe I've been tuning into a channel that's been overly negative recently. I'll take a little break for that channel just for a moment. And if I'm struggling to find reasons to paint, I'll be like, you know what? I'm just going to leave that current painting project to one side, the one that's still on my desk. I'm going to put that to one side. I'm just going to pick up this box with a pile of shame. I'm just going to go to Element Games. I'm going to get myself something new, and I'm going to make myself paint it and build it and paint it. By doing this, it allows me to keep this cycle of 40k palette cleanse, 40k palette cleanse, and it's allowed me to just stay involved in 40k and not do anything drastic like sell all my models or quit the game or anything like that. I've been able to have my cake and eat it. I've been able to enjoy and love the game to an extreme extent. I do, like, this is my gig, right? I've been able to do it to an extreme extent, and at the same time explore other game systems and keep a really positive attitude. And so if you are someone who is struggling with hobby burnout, I recommend that you try one or all of the 3 things that I've mentioned in this video today. They've worked for me, but of course, all of this is just like my opinion, man. Let me know what you think down in the comments section below. Have you experienced hobby burnout, and what was a great way that you found to help get over or through it? If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to smash that like button. It really does help. And also subscribe to never miss an episode. Would you like to know more? If so, then please consider becoming a channel member or patron. By supporting the channel, not only will you be doing your part, but you'll also be helping me create more content for your viewing pleasure and unlocking a whole host of perks. You get everything from a badge next to your name, custom emojis, but the big one is access to the Mordian Glory Discord server, an online community with almost 2,500 active members. It's always popping off in the MG Discord. We've got channels for army lists, hobbying, tactics, stories, and even a pretty spicy meme section as well. For all you greenhorns that wanted to see the Mordian Glory Hole, today is your lucky day. And joking aside, I do want to say a massive thank you to all of the current channel members and patrons. You guys are amazing, truly the lifeblood of the channel. I could not do Mordian Glory full time without the incredible and generous support of my members, so thank you guys so much. And last but certainly not least, I want to say a personal thank you to all of my top tier Patreons. These are the War Masters, the people who have truly gone above and beyond the call of duty. So a heartfelt thank you to Alex Dengal, Bon Vert, Lord Pryor, Mark Panconi, RJ Scorpion, Swordfish Trombone, Try Again Bragg, John Stubbs, Nick Walsh, Diesel Fox, and August Barney. Seriously guys, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Your support is incredible and it makes a huge difference. Thank you so much. That's all for now. Hope you've all enjoyed today's video, and of course, as always, see you guys next time.